Welcome to the Martial Arts with Jake podcast. Hear from the best martial artists and combat sports athletes from around the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Yes, guys, welcome to the Martial Arts with Jake podcast. Today I am joined by 5 times British champion, 3-time IBJJF world medalist, and IBJJF European champion, Tom Bracher. He's also the head coach and owner of Gracie, Barra, Sutton, Coldfield, and soon to come Solihull. Tom, that is some achievements, mate. And how old are you?
Just turned 25 not long ago.
Just turned, so a year older than me, mate. That is some accolades already, mate, I tell you.
Trying my best, man.
So how old were you when you started this martial arts journey then?
I started training at age 17, I think. Maybe just 17, 18. I watched it on, like the UFC and stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was an overweight teenager, really. So I didn't really have any confidence to actually start doing any martial arts. But
yeah.
When I turned 17, 18, I went along to a little class in a community centre and dipped my toe in a little bit. And then a few years later, I'm here and I'm training full time.
Superb.
Crazy.
Was it through bullying being overweight, or was it just the UFC to start it?
It wasn't bullying. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, with banter and stuff that gets passed about. Obviously, when you're overweight, whatever.
Mate, ginger hair, mate. Oh. You know what I mean?
So you play them things off, but it wasn't that made me. I think I remember watching GSP against Matt Hughes. I don't know if it was live or I don't remember the dates, to be honest. But I watched that fight, seen someone take someone down a lot, like do like crazy damage. I thought, man, that looks amazing. And I went to a class. I think my first class, and this is something that I actually try and use when I go to have a trial in or a taster session, come to our academy, because through being a coach and through doing that, for a while, I see different people react to different first classes, right? So when I went to my first class, we was doing close guard on the bottom and we was learning to arm bar the person on the top, right? So immediately, as soon as I'd done that first class, I was like, man, that's such a transferable skill, because if I ever found myself on the floor in a situation, someone took me down, or even if I got hit and I got knocked down and someone was on top of me, I actually know how to do something from there.
Yeah,
go on.
Was that the attractive part of it, seeing on the UFC originally, like the dominance on the floor of GSP, and that was like, that's
what I mean. That's what was crazy. I was like, man, I've never seen anything like that. Obviously, I grew up in like a normal household. My mom and my dad would watch like boxing maybe on the weekend. Like no crazy martial arts. I did karate a little bit when I was a kid, and I didn't really see any practical use of it because everything was about like touching and pulling the shots and being quick and snappy. And a lot of it, if we were honest, and even still some martial arts today, were kind of based on a very long time ago, like an ancient time, where it would be different rules or it would be a certain different way. And we don't live in those times now. Like in these times now, you're not just gonna have a duel on the street. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna get hurt, or someone's gonna try and do. It's a bit different. So to see it actually work so well and be so practical was probably what attracted me to doing it full time. And like I say, now when I get a taster in or they come for their first session, I try to let them, go home with an actual transferable practical skill. Because as much as jiu-jitsu has grown as a sport, and it is it's a huge sport, there's a sport element to it. There is a realism as well, and a real self-defense part, if you wish, that I think sometimes can be missing if you just concentrate on teaching the sport element all the time.
I mean,
like
how many
if I teach a guy first class, deep half guard, and then that happened to him out in the street, your face is right there, you're hugging someone's leg, you're going to get like punched in the face, right? So some people would go home and go, I didn't really feel like it was that real. But there's certain positions like being on top mount or bottom mount and bridging someone off that feels like quite empowering. You can get out or control them positions.
How many fights at school did you see that someone's on top of someone, or it went to the floor, or you see it on Facebook like a fight, someone's like live streaming it?
Mate, someone told me a statistic, I don't know if it's real, but I'm sure it's like over 80%.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but like I'm fairly confident, but like 80% of street fights or like altercations or whatever end up on the floor, because even if you slip, even you're on the floor, or if someone grabs your head, which is like the headlock position is the most common, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you get dragged down to the floor. So it's super common, man. It's like probably you spend more time there than anywhere else if you're using a street fight, probably.
So was it from a self-defense aspect that made you want to start doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or was it more like you've seen the competitive side of it with the UFC and maybe thought, I could have a go at that?
To be honest, I just went to the first class. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, I'll give it a go. I went with a friend that was at school with at the time. I didn't really have any idea whether I would compete, whether I use it for self-defense. I just thought, look, realistically, I can lose some weight. And, I seen the guys, right? Like, this is the craziest story. Like, like sometimes you get Facebook memories pop up, right?
Yeah.
And like in my first year of training, I'd be watching like Meta Morris or like one of these like super fight places or whatever, or even the Worlds. And I'd say like, man, I'd watch people like Browley or watch people like Victor, and I'd see them like, and mate, look at them. They're like super freak athletes, like shredded.
Yeah,
That is so far away from me right now that I didn't even know that is ever possible. And now, I'm blessed enough to train with those people every day, coach under them and compete under them and compete, don't get me wrong, I'm not that super shredded guy yet, but I'm working on it. But, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
I know exactly
crazy how things can flip, man, so fast. And most people, because they don't have a direction, it seems so far away, and it seems so far away for me. But just by plugging at it, and like I say this to my students all the time, right? I say, listen, just show up, man. Even if you can't do anything else, even if your head's not in it tonight because you're busy, whatever, you got stuff on your mind, just show up, just be in the room, and eventually you'll be the best person in the room, is the hope.
Did you get the bug for it straight away? Because remember my first lesson, I've been training martial arts. I was brought up into it through my dad.
Yeah.
But I was always doing the striking. I started training 4 years ago.
Yeah.
At Gracie Barra WS1. I remember my first lesson, like the cardio is completely different.
Yeah.
And I thought I was a fit guy.
Uh-huh.
I thought I was in good shape. I thought I was drowning, mate. I think I got triangled about 4 times in the space of 2 minutes. I was like, what is going on?
But well, see, that's the thing, man. Like we have some incredible athletes like come to us, like ex-footballers and stuff like that. Like we have some, really great students that you would think, like, man, they're super fit. Like I even some people that like run triathlons and stuff like that. And then they do 3 minutes of specific training, which is, as you start from one position. You just got to work out from there, and your partner's trying to do the opposite, basically. And they are absolutely like writ off.
Yeah.
And even they tell me, they come to me, they go, man, I cannot believe how different a cardio is. It's one of those ones that you can't even train for. Without doing rounds, you can't get the fitness for it. You can run all day, you can swim, you can do all these, brilliant things, which, help to a certain extent. But the actual rolling and sparring of jiu-jitsu, I think personally, is the hardest thing to replicate without just doing it.
It feels like doing cardio and lifting weights at the same time. It feels like doing a 100-meter sprint.
Honestly, yeah.
And lifting weights
it's
at the same
easiest
time.
Way. Yeah. If you do a 100-meter sprint with 30 seconds rest while throwing dumbbells over your head and leg pressing, then you're about there.
Yeah. So did you get the bug for it straight away then? Like your first lesson, you thought, right, this is a bit of me. I want to continue to do this for like
so
future.
I went to the one, like I said, it was a class in the community center. I went there. I trained there for a couple of weeks. I enjoyed it, obviously. I was into it straight away, even though it was kind of a weird one because I was getting beat a lot, right? And I didn't really have any success. I didn't really have any idea what to do, but just weirdly, I think it was probably the vibe of the people in the room, like the community of it, that kept me going. Then that club that was at the community center at the time, like it was a hotel actually, they like kind of closed, and the only thing I could do was train with the coach at somebody's home gym that they'd matted out, right? So like I was doing like privates. When I say privates, they were like £15. Like,
who was your coach at the time?
Bruno Mello, he was called. He was a black belt under Roletta BJJ in Brazil. I think he's a coach now out in Q8 for like the military there.
Oh, fantastic.
So I trained with him. And like I said, I was doing these privates in the garage with my friend that I joined up with, and then moved to a different community center once he went back home. And I did some training there. And then from that, I went to GB Tamworth was the first place I trained.
Dave Iverson was that?
Yeah, Dave Iverson. I trained there. We had a conversation. I said, look, man, I'm really into it now. To the point where I was at a period in my life where I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life anyway. Things had gone a bit, down the pan, and things weren't working out great in other aspects. So I thought, I'm just going to go all in.
And how old were you at this point?
I think I'm sure I was 19, And
did you have any previous jobs before, or was it?
Yeah, I was working the whole time. Like I was a chef in a care home. I built seats on a line for cars. I did everything. Like I was doing all these different things, right? Trying to find what fit me. And let's be real, like, if anyone knows me personally, that was just never going to be what I do. And that's no disrespect to people that do it. I just couldn't, like, structure for me in that way. I just cannot do. Like my day, every single day I do is completely different.
Martial arts lifestyle, innit? The BJJ lifestyle.
Even like, look, I have my set training sessions every week, but everything around that's different. The people are different. The rounds I do are different. The feedback gets different. Everything's so different. To do the same thing every day, like I commend people that do, but I just couldn't do it. So I had a conversation with him at Tamworth, and I said, look, I'm going to go full time. But, you know, my mom and dad had came up with a plan where they were going to give me, I think they would give me like 30 quid a week, right, to live on, which is, you know, incredible to give me the start that I needed. They give me £30 a week, and they said, look, train full time. And obviously at the time, unfortunately, the Tamworth Academy, they weren't a full-time academy, so they only had the evening sessions.
Right, okay.
So I stayed there for a little bit, but my mom was coming home. She was like, what have you done today? You're meant to be like, you know, trying to be a full-time athlete or full-time, like you're not done anything, and now I'm dropping you off the class. You could be doing something in the day.
Yeah.
And that kind of dawned on me. I thought, well, I could be doing something in the day, so why am I not training?
Yeah.
And luckily I went to a competition day in Nottingham with the Tamworth team at the time. I went over with them. I seen Victor roll with Dave, like next to me. And I don't know, this is like, maybe I was thinking, like imagining it, right? But I'm fairly certain it happened. Like he was rolling with him, and it like kept looking at me. I thought, fucking hell, man, like he wants me to see what he's doing here. So I watched him, and on it, like this is no disrespect to Dave, because the same would happen to me, the same would happen to anyone. He was just like completely different, man. So good. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is actually going on there? Because everything he was doing looked so simple, but so hard to stop.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my head around it. And still today, you can go with people like that where you go, I cannot get my head around how good they are because they're doing everything basic, but I can't stop it because it's that perfect.
They say like Gracie, isn't he? He's like the king of fundamentals.
Hodge make the same. You look at it and you go, oh, that's just a basic knee slide pass, but he's making it work on someone that could defend that against anyone, and he does it easily. And then obviously after that competition training, I had a conversation with Victor and said, oh, we do day classes and stuff. Come over and join our competition team. So I was doing day at Nottingham, evening at Tamworth, until eventually I just moved all of my training over to Nottingham, to be honest. Just made sense rather than paying the 2 memberships at 2 academies, which obviously I couldn't afford at the time. So that was how I got into it. And then from there, trained with Victor forever.
And what belt was you when you started with Victor? Blue belt. And was you competing at that time as well, quite regularly?
So I was competing then. The first year at blue belt, I competed. I think I lost first round every competition. Yeah. Like literally terrible. And I could not seem to get a win, man. And this is people. It happens. But like what happened was, because I couldn't win, right? Like I kind of had this deal with my parents. So I was like, look, I can be a full-time competitor. I can do it. Look, you've got people like, you know, my training partners, Oliver Lovell, Victor, Jamie, people like this, right? They were a couple of years older than me, or a few years older than me. Ollie's only a year or 2. And they had made their life out of it, right? They had support from the parents, of course, but then they were coaching, they had their own academies, or they were coaching from a little space or whatever back home. Yeah. So they could train full time. And I could really see like that I could fit into that like I could definitely do that. But
so you had them role models, didn't you, as well? Like you
mate, huge role models, man.
Put yourself to it, you can do it.
1,000%. And the thing is, until you see something or until you see what can be done, you don't know.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then I seen them doing it and I thought, right, that's possible. Whether, you know, there's nothing special about them. They're just working hard and I'm going to do the same. So from then, I just thought, right, I'm going to compete and I'm going to try and win. And I said to my parents, I said, look, I'm going to win this, and this, and that's going to get me this amount of members because I want to train with me because I won the Nottingham Open or whatever crazy things I used to say. And in the first year, lost. And I was like, shit, like realistic. I was like, man, you know, I had to tell my parents, like, I didn't win anything. They watched me and then they said, man, you know, have you not got a plan B if this doesn't work out?
What do you think started to change for you then, competition-wise?
Probably from that day when they said, have you got a plan B? I said, no, I don't have a plan B. I'm going to keep doing it until I win. I know that there's no secret to it. There's nothing I'm missing out on. I'm doing the same training in the room as everybody else. Yeah. And it's just a matter of time. And to be honest, I had this conversation with some of the coaches at my academy the other day, and they were asking me like a similar question. And there just seemed to be like a maturity level that changed over a period of a couple of years, right? Everyone grows up, everyone matures. Yeah. And I was still a little bit in probably a younger like naive, immature mentality where I thought I was better than I was.
Being 20 as well, though, especially competing in the adult division, you compete to people up to age 29. There's a lot of difference in maturity and as in physical build as well.
I agree. I was going in there like as a boy, man. I will completely admit it. I was 20 years old. I was a boy. I didn't have like a single facial hair. You know, I couldn't, you know, I was going in there. I was doing a good job. I was trying my best to pull off the techniques, but it was kind of like a training session. I had no intensity. I had no spite. I had no like aggression to win the competition. I was just turning up. Yeah. And then, you know, when I got to 21, I went out to the Worlds with Victor and the team. Again, I think I lost first or second round that year. And, you know, the investment that it was, you know, from my parents, my family, you know, it's not cheap to go out there. And
is that out in LA, is it?
Yeah. I went out there, did the competition, didn't do very well. And then really from that, I just had this like quite an angry fire about me, which, you know, I've always had, but I'd never really channeled it in jiu-jitsu in that way. And I just thought, man, I have to win. There's nothing I can do. I have to win. Like, you know, the circumstances of me getting there, like my nan's pension, my mom's savings, but like, you know, I could go on to fly me there. And then for me to like mess up and it not happen, not that I was expecting to win, but to lose the first or second round, so like heartbreaking that it really spurred me on then to like never lose again.
What a mindset to have though.
Yeah, mate. The thing is now, it's completely like my mindset right now. I try and explain to people, and it's like one of the things. Until you grow into it, it's very hard. Like it's hard to get, man.
Yeah,
you just got to go through the mill for a bit. You've just got to do what's required. You can't like just have it overnight.
How much of being a successful competitor do you think is mindset?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
Because, like I said, man, I'm not special. I'm not some absolute beast that's like jacked like some of the boys I've competed against. I'm not especially tall. I'm not especially, you know, I'm just an average guy, man, in my opinion. Other people will tell you otherwise if they train with me, but I'm saying in my honest opinion, I'm just a normal guy, normal family guy. And the reason why I win is because I don't want to be beaten. Like mentally, my biggest strength probably is going to be mental. People might be physically stronger, physically bigger, more advantages, longer, you know, more technical, whatever. But mentally, in order to beat me, and, you know, you might tap me, right, in a competition or in a training, but you didn't beat me.
Yeah.
Because I still believe after every, like, listen, if I rolled with you tomorrow or I rolled whoever, and you tap me like 9 times in like 5 minutes, I would still believe as soon as we shook hands and restart the round, I would get you. Even if and like most people say, man, you can't tap him. I said, nah, I can do it, man. 9 times, 10, 12. And even if you ask Victor and people like that see me train, that's all I used to do, man. People like Ollie, Jamie, Sean, all these boys I used to like train with in training, man, they would fucking smash me to bits, man. I'd be like physically injured. They'd be like tapping me 12 times around, but I would stand up before them because that was my little win. If I get up before them, I won. And I would go again. I said, right, I'm going to win this time. And I wouldn't. I'm going to win this time. I wouldn't. Until eventually, you know, I started doing that, or the deficit got less at least.
I feel like jiu-jitsu has made me appreciate small victories a lot more as well.
Yeah.
Not just in life in general, small victories.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like for me, you know, if you get tapped 10 times around, just try and get it down to 9.
Yeah.
And if you get it down to 9, that's a win, man.
Yeah.
If you get it down to 8, you've won again. And you can use the mindset of what jiu-jitsu has and possibly other martial arts, right? I don't know. I train jiu-jitsu full time. So you use that mindset in life, right? Business. You could go, right, I've got 2 clients. Let's get it to 3. Appreciate that you've got 3. Then go to 4. Appreciate it. And I think the appreciation part is the biggest part because, you know, so many people want so many things and they want it all overnight. And, you know, until you build on, you know, the small, tiny little things, you don't appreciate it as much. I know I wouldn't. If someone gave me an academy tomorrow with 10,000 members, I'd be like, whoa, that's amazing. But I didn't build it. It wasn't me.
You see a lot of people like, I take a lot of inspiration from the Gymshark owner, Ben Francis.
Yeah.
And you see like his story and then he's looking back at when he was like in his mum and dad's like conservatory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mate,
what he's got a $1 billion company. There's the
incredible.
He's got in there.
I know.
Unbelievable.
It's incredible, man.
Unbelievable. So when was the switch then? So you come back from the Worlds, then what happened?
Yeah. I came back I started training again. Obviously, I was a little bit upset. Then that was my second year at Blue Belt. I went back to the Worlds, and I got to, I think it was the quarterfinal or something like that. Still not a very good result, in my opinion. No, at Blue Belt, sorry, I lost. I got second round first year.
Yeah.
The second time I went, I lost first round, which really hit hard. And then when my first year at Purple was when I got to the quarterfinals. And then because I got to the quarterfinals, like the top 8 in the world, essentially, give me a little bit of confidence to say I was on the right track. And then
absolutely.
from second year at Purple onwards, I've not medalled at a major.
Like I said, though, it's some small victories.
Yeah.
So you've gone from second round to the quarterfinals, top 8.
Second round, quarterfinal, whatever. Even if it had been third round or fourth round.
Yeah.
And I'd have come home and said, look, at least I didn't lose the first one. I lost the second one. I lost the third one. You're building on these things. And, my mindset massively changed anyway throughout training and seeing what I could do in training, right? I'd train with some top level black belts and I'd, give them problems or, it wouldn't be easy for them. People my own level, I'd make it difficult for them. And the other thing as well, which was a huge thing, which I do talk about a lot to the students that I have, because everyone has this mindset of martial arts and making weight and fighting at this weight and fighting at that weight and all this jazz, which is just, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, right? If you're so concerned that you need to cut weight to be the heaviest you can at the lower weight class, there's some form of insecurity or anxiety about how good you are. Because if all you need to be is the biggest, strongest person in the division, then you're lacking something somewhere. Because in my opinion, it's not about that. It's about technique, right? And especially at colored belts, like at black belt, it's different, right? Because it's professional now and everyone could be a black belt for 10 years. But if you go in at purple belt, that person can only have trained for probably 5 years tops, right? So if they've only trained for 5 years and you've only trained for 5 years, why can't you beat them with technique? Because there's no ceiling there. Yeah. Like at black belt, there's a ceiling now because it's unlimited. They could have been a black belt 10 years, 1 year, 5 years, it doesn't matter. But they could only have trained 5 years the same as you. So in them 5 years, did you do enough to be the best technically? And if you didn't, then, I'm going to cut weight. I need to be the bigger, stronger guy in middleweight. And that's when at Purple, I said that to myself at home, right? I said, listen, anyone that's trained 5 years, the same amount of time as me, can't beat me because I'm going to be technically the same or better. And I went heavyweight, which mean I went to LA. I went with my family. I had a good time. I had a nice meal the evening before I fought, whereas normally I'd be in, running, drinking, deionized water that's meant to go in cars, so it doesn't stay out.
Yeah.
I'd be in a salt bath. I'd be doing all this mad stuff.
You feel drained before you even got going?
Drained, man. I used to warm up there and I'd be like, man, my legs were shaking. My legs were like jelly. I was like, this isn't good. But because that's all like, cut weight, be the biggest guy in the division. I said, no, I weighed in that, I think I weighed in a kilo underneath the weight. I'd put on a little bit of weight. I was happy. Felt strong, felt good. Fought a heavyweight for the first time. And then, got a world silver. Lost to arguably one of the best black belts in the world right now, Eric Muniz, who's doing, an incredible job. Beat Victor Hugo the other day. I watched him compete against him. Who's solid. They're all solid. So, I didn't, although I lost and, I feel like, I'd win the rematch if we get it. It wasn't a bad person to lose to, if you know what I mean. Could have lost to a worse competitor on the day, but I lost to one of the best. So,
other than your own professors, are there any black belts / competitors that you look up to as well?
No. And the only reason I say no is because
you're aiming to compete against them.
Listen, if they're not my coach, they're not one of the best in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if they are anywhere actively competing, I'm going to fight you one day. And that is the plan. I will hopefully compete against all those. But I could sit here and say, Kanan looks good. Gustavo Batista looks good. All these guys at heavyweight look good. But I know I'm going to fight them one day. And in my head, I'm not going to make them out to be a superhero. They're just
just a normal man, aren't they?
Normal human being. And
absolutely,
they bleed and sweat the same as me.
Have you always been very competitive? Did you do many sports when you were younger before you started taking up martial arts?
I've been competitive. I played rugby to a decent level. Obviously, like I said, I did karate for a little bit. I got bronze in the Europeans of that. So I've always been super competitive, but like when I was younger, I was competitive in a way that I couldn't channel very well. So I'd like be a bad loser. Do you know what I mean? Even if I play my dad on FIFA and he beat me, I'd be so like I'm pissed. I don't like crying. Honestly, like as a kid, awful because I could not take losing, and it wasn't like I sit back in it now. It's not because I don't like losing. I just don't like not being able to win.
Yeah.
And people say that as negative, like bad loser, and I think you can't really be happy with losing because if you're happy with losing, like how are you going to improve? You shouldn't like spit your dummy out and go crazy at people because that is negative then if you take it out on other people. But to be hard on yourself and to be annoyed with yourself, in my opinion, that is a great attribute that a sports person needs. If you're not annoyed with yourself, then who's going to tell you what to do or who's going to tell you to improve?
I feel like kids get into sports young is great for them as well. For the mindset, it gives them that belief and determination, not just in sport, but in life as well. So I really encourage kids to get involved in martial arts.
It has to be martial arts, in my opinion. Every kid should do martial arts, should be in schools, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really because it's probably the only thing where, number one, you're going to get a level playing field. Because like when some kids come to the gym, right, you see some kids come in, you see some boys come in, they're a little bit boisterous, they're, a little bit full of themselves. And you put them with a girl, right? And they go, oh, why, coach, why are you putting me with a girl for? I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that. I go, okay, we'll see. And then, 5 minutes later, they've been tapped 8 times. It's a perfect leveler. And for girls, women to be empowered, they go, man, I can do that to somebody else if I ever have an issue or a problem. It's such a level, like it levels people so much, humbles people. And I think it would get rid of a lot of issues that, schools have with behavior and stuff. Because, look, I understand why people are a certain way, right? Some people like inflate themselves to act a certain way so they don't get picked on. Other people get picked on because they shy away from it. And I think if you put them people in the room, you'd really find out who's who and what's what, and there would be a lot of issues resolved, man.
Being a young man yourself, how do you find teaching kids? Like, do you want to be the teacher that you were kind of wanted as yourself when you were a kid?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, I had like a terrible time at school. I went to like multiple schools, like was kicked out and stuff like that, just for just silly behavior, nonsense, really. And it's weird, right? Because from teaching kids and from having like kids myself, right? Like I had a little boy not long ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah. From having them now, like I said this to my mom and dad before, like over Christmas, I felt so guilty, man. Because I thought, if that was my little boy, like acting like that, like it's like not a representation of them, but like the amount of things that you put people through for your behavior, right? You don't understand that as a kid. So when I coach kids, or even one day when I coach my own child, it's just about them making them aware of how what their actions, the consequences that it has, right? It's not, look, if you want to be naughty, you want to mess about, you don't want to do the technique, fine, don't do it. You don't have to. I'm not a teacher as such where you're going to get in trouble, but if you don't do it, then you don't have as much fun in specific, you don't win as much in specific, then you don't enjoy it, and then you're upset. So it's like you just got to show them like the root cause of why they're not happy or why they're annoyed is because you didn't do something correct down here. And that's the issue. Like so many people, they focus on the problem. They go, oh, he's lashed out, or he's had a go, or he's not done the technique, and now he's sitting out not playing the game. You focus on that so far, but it's like, what was the reason why, right? So number one, he wasn't listening, so he didn't do the technique. That means when he went to specific, he got beat up, didn't like it, got upset. His mom and dad told him X, Y, Z off the mat. He came back on, and now he's annoyed because he's not playing the game, right? So you explain that to him, that little link. Okay, this is why. Next class they come in, they do the technique perfectly. They do a better job in specific or sparring. Yeah. They play the game then. And then it doesn't matter if they lose first round of the game or get hit by the ball or whatever. They're happy because everything else has been done and ticked off. And that's the issue that when I was at school, man, I didn't have that, man. All they used to say to me, get out, go to the office, do this, do that. I said, fuck, man, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, really. I know I'm not doing something right, but I don't know. I didn't know the root cause of why I was being a bit of a dick.
Did you have any teachers in school that you looked up to and thought, or tried to get you on that kind of right path?
No, but this is a weird one. I had an English teacher. I can't even remember the guy's name, man. I wish I did, but like when I went to parents' evening and stuff, like I just have a lot of banter right in the class, and try and make people laugh and have fun like that. But it wasn't anything sinister. I wasn't trying to be nasty. And like he said to my parents at a parents' evening, he goes, "Listen, Tom, if I was going out for a drink, right? If I was drinking in a pub, you'd be the first person I invite because I have a laugh. But if you do that in the class and everyone's laughing, you're not letting me do my job." So he said, if you want to make jokes and have fun, like do them with me. Like I'd make jokes at him all the time. He said, just don't do it while everyone else is around, because then you're not letting me do my job with them because they're all laughing.
Yeah.
So, and when I did detentions and stuff, I go to his class to like do the detention there instead of the main hall or whatever. And I'd just have a laugh with him. And like I'm talking to you now, I'd say like silly jokes or whatever. I'd wind him up and he'd wind me up back. And you know what? He's a proper genuine guy, man. Probably the only person I've met in school that I'd probably have a conversation with now, and I'd probably enjoy having a conversation with. The rest of them, I don't know, whatever.
I think everyone learns differently as well.
Yeah,
everyone learns differently. That's
what's hard with school, though, man, because it's so one way, so academical. It's like it's difficult. Very difficult.
It is not for everyone. It isn't for everyone. At the end of the day,
I agree.
I think that's what's like the martial arts lifestyle, like
different.
It's completely different.
But this is what I credit a lot. Like America, right? I used to say to my parents, "Man, I wish I went to school in America because they get to wrestle, they get to do this, they get to do that, they get to do sport, but the sport is at a consequence of their work." Like if right now, like let's take it back like 5-10 years, whatever. If I was at school and they said, "Look, Tom, if you don't do this work you got on today, and you don't want to do it or you're messing around, then look, you can't do jiu-jitsu after school," man, I guarantee you the work would be done. Whether I wanted to or not, whether I enjoyed it or not, I'm doing that work, man, because I'm doing jiu-jitsu after, because that's my thing. I need to do it.
Yeah.
And it was never ever that. It was never like the carrot. It was always the stick. If you don't do that, you're going to get detention. Whack. I don't work like that, me. And I don't work like that in life now. I need these carrots. And as ridiculous as it sounds, I go, right, if I do X, Y, Z, I get that. I go, oh, man, let's go, man.
Do you feel that's what jiu-jitsu gives you? That sounds like a weird way, but do you reckon jiu-jitsu gives you the carrot? And
mate, every day.
Every day.
Mate, I can go now. Say, Tom, you want to be world champion next year? Okay, 3 sessions a day. Do it then. That's how I talk to myself. I never do 2. I say, well, you didn't do enough. And that's how I was supposed to listen, how I talk to myself every day. I said, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because the carrot is the world, black belt world medal, black belt world title, whatever it is, that's the carrot. And then you can do the same in business. You can go, oh, we've got 10 members. Oh, we could do with getting 20 because then it means we can reinvest and get these new mats, or we can get this cool thing for the changing rooms, or another member of staff, or a number coach. And then you've got the carrot there, you're going to go after it. But if someone said to me, if you don't win the world title, you're getting locked in a room for an hour at the end of the day, every day, I'd say, oh, fucking hell. Like, you know what I mean? All right, then.
Would you say Victor instills a lot of this in you? Was he like a teacher that you kind of clicked with?
Yeah.
Straight away from the get-go?
1,000%. Like, to be honest, like, I train with other people as well.
Yeah.
But him as a consistent, like, through them years of me, look, man, I'm probably responsible for, like, at least half of his frown lines and his stress, right, from training with him, and some things that, I've done wrong or right or whatever, and we clash. And by the end of the day, man, we clash because it's like a pure like brotherhood of like love there, man. I have so much love for the guy, and I'm sure, well, I hope he does have it back for me, which I know he does, to be honest. But it's like he, through them years of me kind of switching, but still, I'd have them little things kick back in from my past, or from where I wasn't as polished as I am, or I wasn't doing the things I should be doing correctly. They kick back in, put me on the right track. He wouldn't, wouldn't get annoyed with me so much. He'd help me out. So 1,000%, man.
Just a great mentor to you as well.
The best.
And the thing is, you're going to be that to your own students as well.
Yeah, that's what I do it every day. I try to explain to them every day.
Who was it that made you? So you're 25. So how old when you first opened up your academy then?
I opened. It's a good question. I think I opened about 3 years ago. 4 years ago, I started coaching on my own.
Yeah.
So I coached in a place not far from here called Bedworth, in a barn, which is like a little barn on a farm. I started coaching there. like 3 classes a week or whatever. Just getting my confidence up of coaching and how I should coach a class. Then I started coaching at a gym local to me now that did like kickboxing and martial arts called Coldfield. And I was renting the room off them for £20, right? So I'd pay them £20 mat fee.
Yeah.
To put on a class 3 times a week. And I was just trying to get a gauge on if I could put an academy in Sutton, right? Because I thought, well, we'll see how many people come to the class and then I'll kind of work it out. And like probably for like 3 months, I had one guy show up and it was £6 a class, right? So I was losing £14 every class. But I thought to myself, right, I'm not losing money here. I'm gaining a very loyal student, a very loyal friend. And, you know, I had some personal shit go on and stuff during them years. And, you know, that guy was there for me, helped me out, helped coach when I was away competing, which is huge. And then we moved to a community center of my own. Like, we went there, bought some mats to roll out. That's when it started building up really big. He would coach, I would coach, he'd help me out. And, you know, if I went away to LA to compete, he'd be there to cover the class. Or if I went away on a weekend or whatever, we was coaching, I think 4 nights a week. And it just started taking off, man. I was like building up members fast. I thought, man, this is my time to, you know, try and get the building that I always wanted. And the building that I always wanted, I put an offer in when I was a blue belt 4 years ago. And they turned it down. And they turned it down for 4 years. I went back and forth with the estate agent for 4 years. The building was empty. I sent them PowerPoints of like pie charts of our members and like that there were professions. They weren't just like, you know, crazy dudes trying to kill each other in a room, and the landlord didn't want this, he didn't want that. And literally we went back and forth for 4 years, and then we secured the building.
Tell you what, mate, the thing I've got from you so far, the biggest thing I've got from you so far, and I hope others watching, is what a mindset you've got, mate. What a mindset.
I just don't take no for an answer.
What
man.
a mindset. No, that's if you want to be great, if you want to be great,
no. Yeah.
If you want to be great in anything you do, you have that mindset. Yeah.
You got. So literally, mate, for 4 years, man, I pestered them. I sent them this, I sent them that, and the landlord said, "Oh yeah, but it's just a gym. I don't want loud music playing." I said, "Right, we get a sound thing in there." So we had like a clause in the contract. I'm not allowed to play music over a certain decibel. Like literally, man, I went over everything. Seriously, like it was deep, man. And then he said, "Yeah, but the parking, there's not enough spaces for this." So I had to make a new parking plan.
You got no grey hairs yet?
Mate, I'm telling you, I'm doing all right, man. It might be receding. I don't know.
Mate, gingers don't go grey. You know, that's one thing I've got going for me.
Mate, hope. Wow, let's see. There you go, man. You got to find the little wins.
Little wins, mate.
Even if it's a bad spot, you're not going to go grey. But then we secured the building. Like I say, we moved into it and got everything ready for last November. We moved into the January. The gym literally exploded. We've had great social media. We've had, you know, some really big names that train with us and have shared it on their social media and stuff. And then, you know, of course, in March, April time, was it, the pandemic hit. I had to close for a little bit, reopen, close. And obviously, you know, we're closed right now because of the lockdown. And yeah, the exciting news is, and, you know, this can be my little plug. Through all of that and working on that, we've been working on like a huge project for when we return. So our gym that we have now, hopefully in January 2022, we will be moving to an even bigger gym, 2 matted areas, strength and conditioning gym downstairs, and just keep pushing it until we get to a point. Like my dream is, man, you know, I used to watch them countdown shows on the UFC, and you know, you see the gyms out there where they got the jiu-jitsu mats, and obviously forget about the MMA because that's not my thing, but you know, I want to have a jiu-jitsu academy, the strength conditioning bit, you know, people outside in the summer, just a good community-based place, you know, where everyone can do something there. Because that's the thing that I hate, right? I see the parents sitting on the side and I think you could do something while you're here. Even if, you know, they could go to the gym, they could use this, they could do that. They could do a little parents and kids class on the second mat. You know, I just want to get everybody involved and give everyone the benefits that, you know, jiu-jitsu is giving me. And even if that's not through having your own academy or competing, the mental benefits, and like we've just said, focusing on them small little wins, whether it's in relationships, business, life, changes the whole the game, really, for me.
There is a real community within like the whole jiu-jitsu family. It is like a brotherhood. Yeah. It is everyone striving to make each other better the whole time.
I say this every time, right? It's like, for me, it's the yellow pages, right? I bought my first house not long ago. I said, man, I need a plumber. I need a gas guy. I need a painter. I need a decorator.
You teach
and
them.
I don't, man, you ever think I'm going online to look for that? I just go, right, boys, end of the class. I know it's a bit cheeky. Anyone in here do plastering? Boom, right, here we go. Got a plaster. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's such a community-based thing. It's like, I treat them like my own family. I see some of them more than my own family.
Yeah.
Legit. Some my extended family, obviously, my close family I see every day, but I see some of them more than my own aunties, uncles, grandparents. You know, I see them every day, 3 hours a day, some of them.
Yeah, can't get rid of you, mate. You can't get rid of them.
I have dreams about them, bloody hell. Bad news.
So I went to my local coffee shop this morning.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Dark Horse. And I was getting served there, and one lad said, "What are you doing today?" I said, "I'm interviewing Tom Bracher." And he goes, "I know him." I said, "Do you?" And he goes, "Yeah." He comes,
Shut up.
You know, he was at my gym, and he was training with Leon Edwards for his training camp with Gunnar Nelson. So and Leon is the best out of the UK at the minute. In my mind, he should be going for the welterweight world title. He deserves it.
Yep.
So how did you find that experience?
Good, man. I've known him for a long time. So when I was training when I was younger, like in between, like, you know, moving about through community centers and gyms and stuff, I went to the MMA gym. It was called UTC at the time in Erdington.
Yeah.
And that, like, back in the day was like the absolute hub, mate. If you ask me, it was like everybody was there. I used to train with Vaughan there. Who was in the UFC. I think he was like the number one for me. He was like the first person to break into that UFC, or for me to know anyone that's even been anywhere close to the UFC from Birmingham. Like, he's like the original. And I used to see Leon there and all the boys that train where they train now back in the day. And then obviously I went away, did my own thing and got as good as I could at jiu-jitsu and trained with Victor and etc. And then through our strength and conditioning coach, he said, "Look, man, you know, you should be working with him. You know, look how good you are at jiu-jitsu. Look how good Gunnar Nelson is, you know, giving some." Is
it for the Gunnar Nelson camp, was it?
Yeah. I trained with him before that anyway.
Yeah.
So obviously, he asked me to come do some rounds with him, train with him, work on some stuff, which we did. I went down to London with him, you know, stayed at the hotel, was on the stage, obviously, with the open workouts and stuff. And he did an incredible job, man. Like, everything to the T, which he does. Always does a great job. He's probably one of the best, like, training people you can have. He's been over to mine, like, a few times now. You know, comes over to the gym, does some rounds with us, does some wrestling. We've got the same wrestling coach. Basically, we have the same coaches for everything. And then, you know, I help him out as best I can, or just be a training partner. I think if I diet a little bit, we're similar weight as well when we're out of camp, let's say. I know he cuts down to, like, you know, super low, but he's a great training partner, good wrestling, you know. We get on great.
Have you ever thought about going down the MMA route before?
Yes, but at the same time, it's like what it's going to take away from what I'm trying to accomplish now.
Absolutely.
Like, I did think not really a viable thing. Like, if, for example, it's a weird one, because then if I said I won the black belt worlds next year and then I'd do MMA, I'd want to win the black belt worlds again. I'd want to win it 10 times if I could. It's a weird look. This sounds like a bad thing to say, right? But, you know, of course, money is a huge motivating factor for a lot of people. And if someone made me a good enough offer, then I would always consider it. But I always say this to myself, and I say this to my students, whoever flirt with it, right? You're going to fight against somebody that's all they have. So if you're doing it as just your bit on the side, or just as, you know, just to test yourself or whatever it is, that's fine. But you're going to fight against somebody that is all they ever have. That's all they ever know. And that's a dangerous person, man, because that's me in jiu-jitsu. That's all I have. That's all I know. That's all I want to protect. So if you fight me in jiu-jitsu, I'm going to try and can beat you, man.
If you want to be great,
the difference is someone's going to be kicking you in the head. They're going to be elbowing you. And you can't play with that, man. You can't play fighting. You can't play with jiu-jitsu. You can't play with any of it, because you get hurt. But like I said, if someone made me some crazy offer and I put a few years into it and went down that road, then I can never say never. But
like you said, though, you want to be black belt world champion.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If you want to be great, you got to have that laser. Focus on
black belt. I want to be black belt world champion or ADCC winner.
With that being,
I don't know which one, man. It's a hard choice.
Why not both? Why not both? Thing is, though, there's money coming to Nogi Jiu-Jitsu now as well. There is some good prize money coming in.
Good prize money.
Sponsors.
I think Nogi. Reason that is because, you know, it's more of a spectator sport than the gi, right? There's so many technicalities in the gi that people don't see, that watch it, that don't
like
know
intricate movements.
Yeah, tiny like grip positions, tiny little things, right? Whereas no-gi, with its faster pace and, you know, the wrestling element and the excitement, you know, I think even, you know, my dad trains now, right? So he understands, but even back in the day, like, he didn't really understand. But if you watch no-gi, he'd probably be more excited by that than the gi. Obviously, he understands now because he trains. But I'm saying, you know, for your average person, right? If they watch no-gi, it's going to be more interesting because they just don't know the details yet, and I get that. So that's probably why the money is, you know, will become higher in no-gi because more people want to watch.
Have you got a preference to what you prefer competing in, gi or no-gi, or both the same?
I don't know. I trained with Braulio the other day, right? And I was training with him no-gi for a little bit. So I'm obviously preparing for the trials in the ADCC. And I trained with him in the gi. And before I trained with him in the gi, right, I always said no-gi is my favorite. I love no-gi. I prefer it by far. And then after our gi session, he said, you know what? I think you're better in the gi than no-gi. And I said, shit, why you say that for, man? Because now I'm going to have to say I prefer the gi if I'm better. But realistically, I preferred no-gi. Just because I have no issue with the, you know, the lapel game and the, like, all of that, right? I love it. And I work on it, of course. But for me, no-gi, I think it's just a little bit more, without offending anyone, I think it's just a little bit more pure. It's a little bit more aggressive, which plays into my game plan very well.
Being a young lad as well.
Younger, fit, you know, it's a little bit more pacey. And that's what I like about it. It's not as slow. And don't get me wrong, jiu-jitsu in the gi is far more prestigious, far more difficult to win, which is why you see, like, all of these guys that do no-gi for like 5 years, right? And then they say, I'm going to win ADCC, and they do a good job. They would not have that level of success in the gi because it's so much more complex. But it is more sometimes enjoyable just to have that crazy wrestling scrambles and, you know, without getting tied down. So I personally prefer to do no-gi. But, you know, I'll hopefully win both. So
I remember a couple of years ago now, I was coming out of Moore Street Station.
Yeah.
And Bracher walked past. And I was with my mate at the time. And he was like, he's a rugby lad. So he ain't got a clue, nothing to do with martial arts. I was like, is that guy there? He was like, yeah. I said, like, he's like the Ronaldo of like the martial art of the BJJ world, like just walking past, mate.
No doubt. He is, man. He is. He's incredible. Incredible athlete.
Unbelievable.
Incredible, like, mind for jiu-jitsu. Like, I've been training with him for a little bit over the past few months. And his, like, mindset for jiu-jitsu and, like, conceptually and understanding it, honestly, like, it makes jiu-jitsu look simple.
Yeah.
Just like child's play. Against, like, mate, I thought I was relatively good, and I felt like I had zero.
Yeah.
Now, after a few months, you know, I can just about get above zero. But, you know, it's interesting. It's so fun. Yeah. It's interesting. I enjoy training with him. We have some joint projects together as well in the area because obviously, you know, we're both in Birmingham. We're both local. So, you know, spreading the jiu-jitsu and the vision that we want to do. We'll be working together as well. So it's exciting.
Jiu-jitsu for everyone, man. Jiu-jitsu for everyone.
It has to be. I agree. Has to be. And that's the very difficult balancing that people struggle with in gyms and jiu-jitsu academies. They struggle with a balance, man, because you can't go too soft where it's not realistic, and you can't go too realistic where it's too much, and then you can't do too much competitive and comp training because it puts the normal person off. And man, the balance and getting that fine balance is that's where the magic is, man. That is really where the magic is for a jiu-jitsu academy.
Tom, I've got 2 questions left for you, mate, if that's all right with you.
Oh, yeah, man.
So if you had to start again, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to a 16-year-old Tom Bracher?
16-year-old Tom Bracher, I say, right, don't waste your time going to a community centre once a week. Train full time with the best person you can, as close to you as you can. And, you know, if you're willing to travel, train with the best person wherever you can.
Train with the best.
You have to.
Investing in yourself.
Yeah, and it's, you know, so I'm not saying that, you know, because there's some people that are not, you know, world champion, or they're not the best in the world, and they can do a great job as a coach. They really can. And if I was just an average guy that wanted to learn jiu-jitsu and learn, I would go to them 1,000%, like people come to me and train at my place. But if I want to be the best competitor in the world and I want to win the world title, you have to go and train with people that are doing it or have done it or are close to it.
Yep.
You have to. And it's a shame, but I'm just being honest. You have to go and train with the best in the world. And until you do, you will not get anywhere near the level. And that's, testament to my coaches. They're the best in the world. And I've managed to medal at the Worlds. And, we're not done yet. We're still young and we're still hungry. So hopefully I'll be able to tell you I've won it soon.
And that's coming into my final question. What does the future hold for yourself as a competitor, as a school owner, and as a man?
Tough question. Competitive wise, look, I'm gonna do what I've done for my whole life, right? I'm gonna keep competing, keep working hard, keep doing what's necessary. I go above and beyond. Like anyone that trains with me, even the boys that I train with that are my students, when I go around to their home gyms and we lift weights, right? I would do one more rep than them on any situation because I have to. Mm-hmm. And I do that. I would do one more round. I would do one more, whatever it requires, I will do it. And I will do it by just enough until I eventually win.
Professor says to me,
it's inevitable, man. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. I don't even think about it anymore. I know it's written. You know what I mean? I put too much hard work into it for something not to work out, whether it be gi, no gi. I'm going to win the equivalent to a world title at black belt, no doubt. Academy-wise, we keep growing. We have an incredible kids program. We have incredible kids coaches right now. My missus works there. She's the program director. She's
amazing.
Incredible, like marketing and stuff like that. Like blows my mind. She brings everyone through the door, and she sets that family vibe. She's like perfect. She does that at home for me. So when people come to the gym, right, they just relax. They feel at home. They don't feel any pressures. It's not like a scary environment. And then as a man, just to keep doing what we're doing, man. Everything so far has worked out. I want to have a few more kids probably at some point. So we've got a little army, a little training crew, Can't just have he's not going to do solo drills on his own, man. He needs a training partner. You know what I mean? I've been telling him this is just for a little bit now. He needs a training partner. So hopefully that, in the future, and just live, man. This is I'm so fortunate to be in the position that we're in, to be able to live life how we want to live it. Some people, unfortunately, can't do that right now, or they're making their way to that. And that's amazing, and power to them. But, just be grateful every day for the hard work. And that's
superb. It. Tom, it's been great talking to you. For those that don't know, where can they find you?
Instagram is at Tom BJJ, and then obviously the academies is at Gracie, Barra, Sutton, Coldfield. So superb. Any of them's all good.
I'd love to come down and train with you one day as well.
Twitter. Do it, man. Trust me. The boys at the gym, man, people don't know this. Our competition team, right, I guarantee you in 4 years' time from now, people are going to go, what are they doing there? Fantastic. I promise you, man. They are, some of the boys that train with us are incredible. So train with them, it's going to be great.
Fantastic. Tom, thank you very much today. I'm sure I'll be talking to you again because your story is not finished, my friend.
No worries, man.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Have a good evening, mate.
And you, mate.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to hit the follow button. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on my latest episode. And for more martial arts content, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just follow @martialartswithjake.